1. 1961. Tarzan series. Edgar Rice Burroughs. Amazon.com. Edgar Rice Burroughs' classic series about a man living in the jungle was pulled from the shelves of a public library in the appropriately named town of Tarzan, California. Authorities thought the adventure stories unsuitable for youngsters, since there was no evidence that Tarzan and Jane had married before they started cohabiting in the treetops. Ralph Rothmund, who ran Burroughs' estate, protested that the couple had taken marital vows in the jungle, with Jane's father serving as minister. "The father may not have been an ordained minister," said Rothmund, "but after all, things were primitive in those days in the jungle." 2. Mid-1960s. Where the Wild Things Are. Maurice Sendak. Amazon.com. Author Maurice Sendak had a hard time getting his classic children's book Where the Wild Things Are published, as many editors feared that troublemaker Max's imaginary adventure into a fantasyland was too dark and frightening. When the book was finally published in 1963, the book was banned because adults found it problematic that Max was punished by being sent to bed without dinner, and they also bristled at the book's supernatural themes. A 1969 column in Ladies' Home Journal deemed the book psychologically damaging for 3- and 4-year-olds. 3. Mid-1960s. Harriet the Spy. Louise Fitzhugh. Amazon.com. Harriet the Spy was banned from shelves because the titular character spies. Some schools blocked Louise Fitzhugh's book from shelves when it came out in the 1960s because of concerns that the 11-year-old child's penchant for peeping on her neighbors, jotting down her brutally honest observations, and being generally disagreeable could negatively influence kids by setting a bad example. Early critics argued that Harriet didn't spy, but rather gossiped, slandered, and hurt other people without feeling sorry about her actions. Thought Co. said. 4. 1969. The Dictionary. Amazon.com. You might assume the dictionary is the least likely place a teen would search for illicit content, but school administrators in Alaska believed otherwise. Both American Heritage and Merriam-Webster have been banned in various libraries and schools. In 1987, for example, the Anchorage School Board banned the American Heritage Dictionary for its objectionable entries, particularly slang words, including bed, knocker, and balls. 5. 1977. Sylvester and the Magic Pebble. William Steig. Amazon.com. William Steig's Sylvester and the Magic Pebble, about an unassuming donkey transformed into a rock after finding a magic pebble, portrays a sweet-natured character wishing for the impossible. But the anthropomorphic animals in the award-winning children's book did not sit well with all audiences. In 1977, police associations in 12 states urged the libraries to remove the book because it portrays police as pigs. 6. 1983. The Diary of a Young Girl. Anne Frank. Amazon.com. Diary of a Young Girl, by Anne Frank, chronicles the tragic experience of a Jewish family in the Nazi-occupied Netherlands, where the 13-year-old and her family hid until they were caught and sent to concentration camps in August 1944. The book has been challenged numerous times for sexually explicit passages, and, in 1983, the Alabama State Textbook Committee called for rejecting the book because it was a real downer. 7. 1989. The Lorax. Dr. Seuss. Amazon.com. Beloved children's author Dr. Seuss took a stand for the environment in 1971 with The Lorax, which describes the destruction of an imagined forest of woolly truffula trees. The narrator chops down the trees to use their foliage to knit clothing. While some readers may have been offended by the book's use of the word stupid, it was the logging industry that was insulted by the anti-deforesting plotline. 8. 1990. Little Red Riding Hood, Trina Shartown, Amazon.com. When kids read Little Red Riding Hood, they take away the message that they shouldn't talk to strangers, especially those with big, shiny teeth. But when school officials in Culver City, California, looked at an illustrated version of the tale by Trina Shartown, they saw a different message. Alcohol is yummy. They were outraged that young Ms. Hood is pictured with a bottle of wine in her basket, which Granny later glugs down, showing the grandmother who has consumed half a bottle of wine with a red nose is not a lesson we want to teach, said an official. 1992. Hansel and Gretel, The Brothers Grimm, Amazon.com. The Brothers Grimm infamously pushed children's fairy tales to the limits, sometimes landing the 19th century authors on the banned list. Hansel and Gretel, the tale of two siblings who get into trouble for eating sweets reserved for a witch, has been rejected before, but, in 1992, it was challenged again, this time by two self-proclaimed witches who said the tale gives witches a bad name. 10. 1993. The Giver, Lois Lowry, Amazon.com. Since Lois Lowry's The Giver was published in 1993, it's been one of the most controversial books in American schools. Slate reports, the dystopian young adult novel, about a 12-year-old boy's discovery of the truths behind the seemingly perfect society in which he resides, is most commonly banned for being unsuited to age group, for violence, or for being sexually explicit because of the tough themes it grapples with, including euthanasia and drug use. 11. Mid-1990s. Where's Waldo? Martin Hanford, Amazon.com. Where's Waldo rose to popularity in the mid-1990s, challenging young readers to find the lanky, bespectacled Waldo in various crowded scenes. The problem wasn't the perpetually lost protagonist. It was a sunbathing woman suffering a wardrobe malfunction the size of a pinhead in a corner of one of Martin Hanford's drawings. The exposed breast got the book banned in Michigan and New York. 12. 1996. Twelfth Night. William Shakespeare, Amazon.com. School authorities in Merrimack, New Hampshire, found nothing amusing about Shakespeare's Twelfth Night, in which a girl washes ashore after a shipwreck, disguises herself as a page, and falls in love with her male master. That jolly cross-dressing and fake same-sex romance was deemed in violation of the district's prohibition of alternative lifestyle instruction, and copies of the play were pulled from schools. 13. 1999. James and the Giant Peach, Roald Dahl, Amazon.com. Roald Dahl's fantastical novel about a boy escaping his miserable life with his aunts by entering a magical, house-sized peach has repeatedly been banned because it contains the word "s." Other schools bristled at the fact that James and the Giant Peach mentioned snuff, tobacco, and whiskey. In Wisconsin in 1999, the book was banned because of concerns the spider licking its lips could be interpreted as sexual. 14. 2006. Charlotte's Web, E. B. White, Amazon.com. Even arachnophobes love Charlotte's Web, a heartwarming tale about the friendship between a pig named Wilbur and a wordy barn spider called Charlotte. But a parents' group in Kansas decided that any book featuring two talking animals must be the work of the devil, and so had E. B. White's 1952 work barred from classrooms. The group's central complaint was that humans are the highest level of God's creation, as shown by, they said, the fact we're the only creatures that can communicate vocally. Showing lower life forms with human abilities is sacrilegious and disrespectful to God. 15. 2007. Harry Potter series. J. K. Rowling, Amazon.com. Well, pretty much every child was devouring the final book in the Harry Potter series in 2007. One school was pulling all 7 Potter books from its library shelves. The pastor of St. Joseph School in Wakefield, Massachusetts, deemed their sorcery-heavy storylines inappropriate for a Catholic school. Parents said the pastor thought most children were strong enough to resist the temptation, but his job was to protect the weak and the strong. 16. 2010. Brown Bear. Brown Bear. What do you see? Bill Martin. Amazon.com. The children's picture book Brown Bear. Brown Bear. What do you see? Made a surprise appearance on the banned books list in January 2010 thanks to the Texas Board of Education. Author Bill Martin Jr. happens to have the same name as an obscure Marxist theorist, and no one bothered to see if they were the same person. 17. 2010. What's Happening to My Body? Linda Madaras. Amazon.com. What's Happening to My Body? A classic guide to those awkward puberty years, was deemed inappropriate and banned by 21 school libraries in Texas. The father who brought the complaint in December 2010 was shocked that the book would be available to his 8-year-old. Fiala says the book has been one of the top banned and challenged titles by parents in the last decade. Editor's note: this article was originally published on Sept. 29, 2011, and last updated on Sept. 22, 2017.